Hey, it's Nay, and welcome back to Nay's Little Garden and Home. So, we are just a couple days away from the 1st of April. So I wanted to come on here and talk about a few plants, not a few, there's quite a few here I'm looking at, but I wanted to come here and talk about a little bit more of like a cool weather crops that I will be putting out into my garden, if not this weekend, next weekend, when it's actually the beginning of April. We have some chatting to do, so grab you a drink, grab you a snack. I made myself some matcha, but it's almost gone at this point. I made hot matcha for the first time in a long time. I definitely prefer matcha iced, but it was a little chilly this morning. I was feeling all like it's beginning of spring, and it's been on and off raining because it's just prepping us for April showers, bring May flowers. So I made it warm. It's cold at this point, but I'm basically done with it. So that's my drink. I have here also the cool weather crops that will be starting, but also I have a couple of, I'm going to talk about the squash as well. I will not be starting these. We are basically 5 weeks before the last frost. I just told false information. May 5th is my last frost. Let's leave that at that. That's my typical average last frost. So it is the 28th of March. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I was right. We're about 5 weeks and like 2 or 3 days before my last frost, which great. Love that. I will not be starting any squash, melons, all the like. I might even start a couple of beans in the house just to have some things started a little in advance when I'm about 2 to 3 weeks before my last frost, because I plant out. The beans will sprout out quite quickly, but then I won't plant out my squash and my melons until the week after my last frost. So I don't want them to they're going to grow massive. So I don't want them to grow too big. So I want to give them about 4-ish weeks in the house. And I'm not stressing it as much when it comes to, what am I saying here? I'm about to take out the 2-tier shelving unit from my tent and then put a whole bunch of stuff just on the floor of the tent, because some of my tomato plants they're big. So I want to put them in the tent and leave them on the floor so that I can drop down the light a little bit more and then raise the light so those will keep growing. I then also want to put the 2-tier shelving unit, which I believe I have 1 tier, just I didn't have anything to do with it because of the tent. I'll add that to there. So then I will have 2 tiers, so I'll have an extra tier because the tent is an extra tier. And then in about a week or two, because it is warming up during the day for about 1 to 3 hours, I'm gonna have some of my plants be outside inside of the polytunnel, so there will be some reasonable amount of protection away from the plants. That way that I can then rotate the plants indoors for the light, because I had to figure out what in the world I did with some of these other the plugs for the lights, because they're definitely somewhere. We're getting to that point where it's about to get aggy. Anyway, let's jump right into this. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is carrots. I love carrots. I love carrot juice. I love, pause actually real quick. I can make this myself, especially after I harvest my own carrots. This is just organic carrot juice. It's literally just carrot juice is in here. I like the taste of carrot juice. I like carrot cake. I'm not a big fan of like the chunks of the carrot cake, so I like a smooth carrot cake, carrot muffins. I just like carrots, right? And last year I had my first really nice harvest of carrots, like really nice. And then I was out there with my husband and my middle child, and we ended up plucking some of the carrots. Some of the carrots had gotten a little soft and rotted in the soil, so I left them there just to give back nutrients to my soil. But there was a few of them that actually survived the winter. And when I say survived the winter, I mean they were firm. They were sweet. It was wonderful. Carrots are something that I think is a little bit aggy to grow to get a good carrot. Like if you're like, I just want something to eat, you might be able to toss some carrot seeds and whatever pop up. But if you want like a good solid carrot, you want good amount of carrots, it's a little testy, I feel like. But I think I've gotten a handle on it. So I started some carrots in the fall, like towards the end of the fall maybe, or whatever, in the fall of last year. And now I have the little sprouts. So we're gonna see if that develops into actual carrots, but I am gonna toss these out soon. I have 3 carrot varieties. I'm gonna probably toss all of them because I believe they have different times to maturity. This says nothing. I'm not sure. These two have completely different times. So the first thing I'm going to grow is these Danvers 126 carrots. This is the atypical carrots that I think a lot of people will attempt to grow. I had no issues with these. Also the really good thing about carrots is they have about 3-month lifespan. Now this is saying 4 to 6 months, but I think the 6 months, they have to be some prime perfect conditions. So if I were you, when you're looking at how long something lasts, look at the shortest amount of time it's saying and use that as your metric, because if it lasts longer, great. But if you're aiming for the 6-month mark and things start rotting at the 4-month mark, you're going to be annoyed, right? So 4 to 6 months, they're a bit like longer, semi-thick, and I do like these. I think that when talking about carrots, it's the second kind of like, not the second, but the minute your soil is workable, toss these carrot seeds in there, especially in months like April, because it typically, in March, it typically does rain quite a bit. So the soil will stay moist enough for these to sprout, because that's kind of where it gets real testy to actually have growth. And you also, wherever you plant your carrots, you don't want to be over-fertilized. You don't want to be fertilizing a lot. Like I will not put my carrots with my tomatoes because I fertilize my tomatoes quite a bit. And then they kind of like fork and do weird twisting and stuff. So if you really want pretty carrots, that's what you have to do. I haven't tried this yet. This is something that has gotten a lot of hype from like the doomsdayers, where they were like, oh, if you grow this is like a heirloom carrot type of vibe, and they last really well, like as like a keeping storage thing, and they come out much bigger, but they also are shorter, so you don't need to have really deep loose soil, because this is a carrot that's going to grow big, so it could fight some of the more dense soils, but also you don't have to go super deep, so they could probably grow better in like beds and the green stalk, stuff like that. This is the Oxheart carrot. Now this is 90 days. The thing about carrots though is what they're telling you is to get the maximum sizing. So you could probably harvest this at 80 days and still get a decent carrot. You get what I'm saying? So introduced to the US in the late 19th century, massive heart-shaped roots to 1 pound each. Despite their massive size, the brilliant orange roots are crisp, sweet, and mild. Great keeper. So that's fabulous. And you just surface sow carrots. And then the last carrot variety here. Woo! And what's really cool about carrots is I'm just trying different varieties because I'm still testing out stuff. But the cool thing about carrots are you get a lot of seeds from just about every brand. So 1 packet of carrots could last you 2 years. Now, and I'm saying 2 years when it probably could last you about 4, because carrots are one of those things you can't overbuy because their germination rate dramatically drops as like the years go on very quickly. So take time with that. Does that mean no carrot is going to pop up at the 3rd year? No, I'm not telling you that. I'm just saying if your first year is 9 out of 10 carrots are going to pop up, your second year might be 7 out of 10, and then your 3rd year might be 4 out of 10. Carrots are still going to pop up. Still use the seeds. Don't ever throw seeds away. You might as well toss them in the soil. You know what I mean? But this is the Chantenay Red Core carrot. I'm actually kind of excited about this. These also look delectable. They look like a bigger version of the Oxheart to me for some reason. This is Large stump-rooted carrot with deep red orange centers, great for juicing or fresh eating, one of the sweetest varieties. So hearing that it's one of the sweetest varieties made me want to pick it up. I do have more stuff than what I'm going to show you, but these are the things that are probably going to make its way into my garden. Let's open up my carrot juice since we're talking about carrots. Cheers. Oh, wow. That's delicious. Moving on. The next thing I'm going to be tossing very shortly into my garden. This is beets. I have a few different varieties here. I'm going to explain to you why, but you really only need one variety and you can keep it moving. The Golden Detroit beet is a... Oh, I feel like I have to sneeze. I'm going to say this, and I feel like everybody else has a different thought process on it. I bought this because this was not supposed to have, it was supposed to be like the more sweeter version of the regular beets, and it has less of that dirt taste. I've come to realize the dirt taste does not bother me. What does that mean? This almost was fresher. Like, this is like a... If Beets has a more richer flavor, this is a much like almost like a slightly watered down flavor, which is not an issue, especially if you're trying to get kids to drink the little drink shots that you're making. Something like this would be a little easier for them. But I do have beet powder I've been putting in like Jello that I make for them, and they eat it. So I don't find this to be absolutely necessary, but I'm going to use them, and it's just a different color of a beet. Now, I do want to try to do different things with my beets this year, so we're going to see about that. But the Golden Detroit beet is a popular beet. And this says cold tolerant down to 28 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty good. So we're about that 25 degree Fahrenheit about half the time at nighttime. And then other time, most of the rest of the time, it's like 29 to 37 type degrees at nighttime. So this is why one of the reasons why I want to start them. Sugar beets. I love these. Will I ever be able to grow enough sugar beets to make beet sugar? I'm not sure about that because I feel like you would need quite a bit because the dehydration process and then the grinding process and all of that is a long process. These are sweet though, like actually sweet. I feel like what people were explaining to me, or what I took from people's explanation of Golden Detroit beets, is what I feel like I taste with sugar beets. I really like these. They're good. I didn't have any issues growing them. They didn't grow as big as this claims though, but that could just be user error. But the sugar beets is something I like, and as you can see, there's 100 seeds in here, and there was 50 seeds in here. I like that he puts it right on the front so I don't have to sit there searching for it. But I am going to use these because I got these last year. The Chioggia beets are actually my least favorite beet for taste wise, but look wise they're absolutely beautiful. I will drink this, like I'll juice these and drink them, no problem. I don't think I'm going to be a Chioggia beet eating girl. I'm not sure what, there's something, they say that this is tender, mild, and sweet. I feel like this was the woodiest, like woody tasting out of all my beets, and I'm not sure if they just don't have as much strength against heat. I don't know what went wrong, but they were my favorite. I'm gonna give this one more chance, and if I still feel like it's not good, then I just won't ever buy them again. But I have a good amount of seeds in here, so I gotta get to, you know, starting these. And the last one is the Detroit dark red beets. This is just your atypical beets. I find I probably am going to attempt to pickle things this year, and I want to pickle these. So I want to pickle them. I want to juice them. I don't know. I want to like them enough to eat them in like salads and stuff. Speaking of salads, let's talk about lettuces. I'm not going to be playing with my lettuces this year. I want to have good lettuce rows or whatever growing on that I can cut and come again. So the first thing is this arugula. Oh, speaking of which, a lot of my lettuce that I had grown from December have died off because the watering, like I said in the beginning, was an issue. I do have like one or two that are still growing. We have eaten from them. I have not bought lettuce in the stores. I want to say it's been like a year, maybe a year and a half. The amount of times a lettuce is getting recalled is kind of scary. So I'm never trying to incite fear. I'm just telling you guys how I feel about things. And one thing about me is I'm really not a fan of sickness in my house. And I feel like most people are, but some people are less scared of that stuff. I really have no interest in anything making my kids or myself or my husband sick. So I actually do enjoy like chicken salad. I love a good Caesar salad. I want to learn how to make the Caesar dressing. I like lettuce. I like spinach. I like kale. I like kale chips. So I just said at this point, I gotta just grow my own because, and I have to do it and grow it and eat it. Because last year, my biggest thing was I grew actually a good amount, but they had like holes in it and stuff, I guess from bugs. And I think that's part of the reason why I didn't want to put any of it in my mouth. That can't rock like that. It's okay for your produce to not look perfect. So anyway, the first lettuce is the Astro Rocket. The rocket is just slightly peppery, which is one of the reasons I want to grow it. It just gives a different flavor. The Big Butterhead lettuce is one of my 2 favorite lettuces so far. Obviously, there's a lot of lettuces out there that I can try, but there's one of my 2 favorite is this Big Head Butter lettuce. I feel like it has so I like a good crunch in my lettuce. I do. But if I'm not going to get a crunch, it better be tender and sweet. And this is a softer lettuce. This couldn't be like an entire salad for me, but I do like this in my salad, so I will be growing these. I also am going to try to grow these in my more shadowed parts of my garden and see if it could take up that space and make it easier for me. The next thing is this toy bok choy here. I have not had the biggest success growing bok choy, but I've also had success growing bok choy. The success I had ended up growing bok choy, I ate it and I enjoyed it. I like putting bok choy in like soups more than anything, if I'm gonna be honest with you. But I feel like I like that because that's kind of where I've had my taste outside of my house of bok choy, like in Asian soups. So I'm gonna just finish this up. I'm not sure if I'm gonna buy more bok choy. We'll see how I react. The second one of my top 2 favorite is this Dragoon lettuce. Now the next 2 I'm gonna talk about I do actually really like, but I like them mostly honestly because they look good. They taste fine, but they look good. The Dragoon OGMT0 lettuce, no. So these were expensive from Johnny's. They are so good and they grow really well. I'm gonna grow these again, and this is something I'm gonna make sure to do like every 2 weeks for the first month of this. Well, if I'm gonna just do it all throughout April, so that hopefully come May, beginning of May, all throughout May and June, I'm harvesting. And then if they kick the bucket, they kick the bucket. It is what it is. But then I can grow these indoors, which will be my goal. So that's the Dragoon lettuce. These next 2 I do like, but they're just super pretty for the most part is where I'm growing them. The Marvel of 4 Seasons. This is more tolerant to both frost and heat, so you can grow this throughout the entire year. And then the Lola Rosa, I feel like this is more cold tolerant than anything else, but this also grows in partial sun. So this is something you could definitely be growing in like the fall and the early spring and have no worries and concerns about the sun and, oh, is it getting 8 hours of doing this, because it's just gonna grow. She's just gonna grow. But this is also really good. These both are just also super pretty. Like I feel like even the pictures, well, this picture kind of looks almost exactly as it, but even this beautiful like drawing look here doesn't do this justice. I love to have different colors in my garden. The next thing I want to talk about, let's talk about these melons. I'm not starting these yet, like I said, but I want to talk about them because you might as well. I have a new melon or 2 in here that I will be discussing as well. The first one I want to talk about is just the basic Sugar Baby watermelon. I don't even know if these are going to pop up. I've had these for a little bit now. This is packed for 2024. So I'm going to attempt to sprout these. If they don't pop up, I will not cry. I have the Minnesota Midget Cantaloupe here. This was packed for last year, so they should pop up. I just want to get like a couple of these, so I won't be growing many. So I'll grow like 1 or 2 of these seeds. So I probably should grow actually 2 or 3 of these seeds and hope 1 or 2 pop up. This is the main character for my melons this year. This is the Golden Midget Watermelon. The outside of this melon is yellow. So this is great for short growing seasons. It produces 3-pound serving size fruits of salmon colored flesh and large black seeds. Rinds turn yellow when ripe, so yellow on the outside. That's great. This is only 80 to 85 days. That's insane to me. This Minnesota Midget is 75, but I really want to grow watermelons. I ended up at the end of the summer last year having 2, I think, or 3 watermelons popping up, and they never got to ripen properly before it got too cold, because things killed it off. Like, not killed it off, but set it back. This year, I'm not playing. I want to harvest watermelon. We love fruit in this household. Like, we love fruit. So I just want to grow as much fruit as possible. I'm going to probably buy a couple blueberry. I have a blueberry bush. I don't know if she's going to come back because I forgot to pull her out in the wintertime. So that moisture can keep hitting the pot. So it has not begun any moisture. I got moisture recently because obviously I remembered it too late. But we'll see if she comes back. Hopefully she does. And if she does, that's great. If not, I'm still intending to get 2 blueberry plants. I like blueberries. I have 3 or 4 raspberry bushes, or blackberry. It's either raspberry or blackberry. Actually, I think it's blackberry. I love raspberries and blackberries. Here's my thing. So one, I must have drilled enough proper holes in it because it never got drowned throughout the winter. The other 2 drowned. I had to keep coming back and pouring out water, and so I'm not sure if those are going to come back. I'm not sure if those are going to come back. I'm not going to be concerned too much. It makes me sad because obviously they cost me money, but I'll just buy a couple more plugs and buy the big. So the one that I think is going to come back is in a big like wine barrel, fake wine barrel type of look. I think they're like $30 at Tractor Supply. So I'm going to get 1 or 2 of those and buy 1 or 2 of the blackberries or raspberries. Now, I believe that they're floricane, whichever one grows in the second year. So I'm gonna see about getting the primacane ones, the one that grow the first year and then you have to snip it and they grow again, and see which one I prefer, because I'm not really guaranteed for the stuff to make it to the next year. Like, it's one thing if it grows up new like roots, but if it doesn't, then now I'm sugar out of luck, right? So that's how I feel about that. The last batch I want to talk about here is my squashes. I am growing fairly certainly. So I had 2 squashes last year that were my best growing squash ever. There's a very high chance they'll get 1 plant each, which means I will grow 2 seeds. I will grow 2 seeds of each and plant out the best one of those. They get huge. We're going to talk about those stuff in another video. They get massive. The problem is the flavor is okay, which makes me very sad because they have the best growth ever. So it stinks, but I'm going to grow these 2, which is the honey nut and the butter bush. So this is the Burpees butter bush, but I just bought it from Annie's Heirlooms to give Annie the money. The perfect butternut for gardeners with limited space and a shorter growing season. The Burpee butter bush grows on compact 3-feet vines maturing in just 75 days. Scrumptious 2 to 4 pound winter squash. I like a lot. I love butternut and honey nut squash. The honey nut squash, it resembles the butternut squash. It's just smaller. So the 4 to 6 inch honey nut is a succulent single serve treat with thin skin that does not require peeling. Perfect for gardeners. Small gardeners. This is 100 days. So this is actually much longer than the butternut. So I'm going to grow both of these. I got 1 honey nut squash, or maybe 2, from my garden because of the other 2 that I'm not going to talk about today. They grew so fast that they shadowed out the honey nut squash, so it took the honey nut squash significantly longer to grow. I am also probably going to grow an acorn squash as well. I'm at the point where I really want to store up squash for the winter, and it is March and most of that squash is still good. I think I have 1 or 2 squash that I have to toss out because they started rotting from one side, but the 2 I'm not going to talk about today, those squash in March are still good and edible. That's so amazing. And if push came to shove, we had to eat it. My husband and I would eat it. My kids would not put it in their mouth. Like, they'll eat it and be like, which is why I have to grow things like this, because they're just sweet. And I ordered, I think it's from Annie Heirloom. Don't quote me on that. Sweet potato slips. Very excited about the sweet potato slips. I got just 12. They were more expensive than where I got them from last year. I think I got them from Burpees last year. I think I planted too many slips in my 20-gallon grow bag. I'm going to probably do 1 slip per grow bag because I got sweet potatoes, but they were very skinny. So I just don't think they had enough space to fatten up. And my husband ate them. He said they were good. I was scared to put it in my mouth because it didn't look like how I wanted a sweet potato to look. So this year I need the sweet potatoes to grow in the way that I need them to grow and develop in the way I need them to develop. I have already ordered 20 bags of the soil that I prefer. So it's paid for. That makes me very happy because with 20 bags, if I just put 1 or 2 bags of wood chips at the base of it, and then fill up the rest of my raised beds, I'm certain, with about 95% certainty, those 20 bags I'm gonna have left over from filling up my 2 5x3 raised beds and my 2x3 raised beds. Pretty simple, pretty easily. And then I should be able to also top up some of my raised beds. I don't need to top them up insanely, but they definitely need some more soil. I'm gonna see from there because it's gonna deliver in the beginning of this coming week. I'm gonna see after doing what I need to do to fill up one of my 5x3. It's like it's actually a 5x4, but 1 5x4, 1 5x3, and a 2x3. That one is not going to be delivered till like end of April, so I'm not going to be able to fill that one up. But I might go ahead and order one more 5x3 raised bed because I have a spot that I can put something, and then I might be able to put just a couple of my sweet potato slips because they tend to grow like directly under, so it's not like you're rooting around for them, just to see how that grows in part of that raised bed because I didn't obviously plan for it because I'm just thinking about buying it now. So I'll be able to do that and then toss any extras of other plants I have in there as well. So yeah, that's all I want to talk about today. Let me know if you're like any root vegetables that you're gonna grow, and some of your squashes. Are you growing any winter squash? I did not show you any summer squash. Bless me. The only summer squash that grew pretty well for me that I liked. Summer squash is hard because you can get that for so cheap. And it's not something I'm like obsessed with. The one that I grew pretty well and was so cute was the Benning's tint, the green Benning tint squash. It grew well. The skin is squeaky. So like so when you would eat it, it would like squeak in your mouth. Not a fan. The flavor was just fine, to be honest with you. Not a fan of that squeaking. So I don't even know if I'm gonna grow that. And I'm not gonna grow like crookneck or yellow squash or any of that. We're just not big fans. And I had like 1 or 2 like 2 years ago, and they produced so many squash, and I'm not a fan of waste. And we didn't eat them. We're just not a big summer squash family. We're definitely more of a winter squash family, which is why I wanna hopefully store. I know my butternut and honey nut squash is not gonna last till March, but if we can have it for the entirety of winter to eat those, I would be very glad. I will count that for winter and fall. I would count that as a win. A win is a win is a win. Anyway, let's talk about squash and your root vegetables down in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.